what these black celebrities are doing, if we pull our money out of that, a lot of those industries will crumble because we spend, even when we see it's not right. And it's, a lot of us are conscious, but our children are not. So they're the ones that they're the target.
Well, how do you do that and have your children not conscious? And
Well, I mean, your children are probably conscious, my kids are conscious, but there's still a lot of other black people that are not conscious, they're not trying to get conscious. And for those that don't know their race, don't know their history, I mean, we're steady feeding these celebrities, we're paying them, we're paying Hollywood, and we have to get the change that we want to see. Cut these damn TVs off, go. I keep a phone book. I got the cell phone, so we have to go back to a lot of the old ways that our grandparents and our grandparents had. Because the children are who they are aiming everything at this point. And they're going down the toilet because of what's on the radio, what's on TV, just even how they're being taught in school. You teach me a lot, that's what I'm supposed to take in if you have a parent that does not know any better.
Culture defines you.
It's,
The biggest thing is we don't have no culture in this society. We haven't had culture since our bondage.
Nobody wants to be an African.
Right. The whole thing is if I say I'm an African, that's, you know, I was an African booty scratcher. I was, you know, stink. If you're African, you're ugly because you're too dark. All these stigmas is connected to calling yourself African. If I call myself black, then I'm automatically a criminal. So we have no status to call ourselves in this society. You have no status, you have no culture, you have no boundaries. Culture sets boundaries. Latinos have boundaries. Whether they Cuban, Puerto Rican, Panamanian, Mexican American, whatever have you, they got boundaries that they set within their culture. The Asians have boundaries, whether they're Malaysian, whether they're Asian, from China, from Japanese, they have boundaries that they set for them and their kids. If I go into India, boundaries are set because they have culture. Black people do not have culture in this society.
I think we do have culture. Now, whether or not we're going to educate our kids, HISD don't teach our culture. So if you send your kid up to HISD...
What is our culture?
If you say
slave culture? Is that what you're talking about?
We have a long tradition in this country, in this world, of having a culture. There's no doubt about it.
What that culture?
Let him answer what y'all mean culture.
Okay.
Go ahead. What you mean by culture?
When I say culture, I deal with when, number one, you have to start in terms of African society. That has a culture that's associated with it. Deal back with trying to make it through slavery.
Yeah, so when we say culture, we talking about behavioral norms.
Even with behavioral
that's okay, but you said that, like, what are those, that culture, those behavioral norms that we have brought with us that we practice today?
Family, trying to make it through this society. Harriet Tubman trying to help us to overcome some of our oppression.
That's an act, brother. Those are acts by Harriet Tubman. That is not a collective culture.
She just didn't wake up and had that, you know, that's come out of culture.
I think we have to go back and define culture first of all, and then we can move forward. I think your definition of culture is not taking into account the influence, the negative influence that he just had a slideshow about that's infused our culture with Christianity, self-hatred, and all these things that are propagated through mother's milk within the current toxic black culture. There are some good things within it, like family, but overall our culture is not our culture because it's toxic and not towards our life and not controlled by us.
And we don't promote it.
So therefore,
I said we don't promote it, and we get to do it somebody else.
But we're getting far afield, I'm sorry.
I just had a question, just a
Go ahead.
It's probably just totally off now. But back to your slide, I just wanted to know, do you have any information regarding, maybe as a woman I want to know, vaccines or what have you for our babies, and what does that have to do with our kids talking about our things, and they were born homosexual, does that have, are they getting our babies like...
Well, remember the first vaccines, a lot of vaccines that cause AIDS, they automatically brought all those vaccines into Africa. They were implanting, people forget, they weren't just going into adults, they were implanting babies. And they were doing this for years. Automatically, the babies were rejected, but consistent injections with these vaccines, eventually it began to become the norm within the situation. vaccines, from what I know, what I've studied, is a detriment. We have to get to a point where we reject their vaccines because they're doing more harm than good for our people, because that's natural. It's not who we are naturally. If we're calling ourselves African, we didn't need vaccines to survive. You know, a lot of us lived to be 800 years old without a vaccine. So we got to get to a point where we're not using European aid, which is the reality. He's the enemy, and we're using their vaccine. No, that's not going to work. Their vaccines is not going to work for us. We have to get back to where and that goes back into the boundary again of culture. When you have culture, you know what and what not to subscribe to in the system. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's all.
I got it real quick.
I think we take in so much of what the crackers say, and we don't even realize it. Like,
can you say it one more time?
We take in so much.
The word cracker.
Yeah. We take in so much what the crackers say, we don't even realize it. Like, for instance, and we get lazy. We start thinking that it's intelligent when it's really not. Like, they talk about the prison culture and how homosexuality started within the prison culture. Like, I remember, you know, right now I talk to people who did 15 flat, 18 flat, 20 plus flat. Yeah. They don't approve of homosexuality. In the penitentiary or in the free world. You know what I'm talking about? So I asked the question, like, who produces the most homosexual or anti-bisexual behavior? Is it the prison or is it the church? Because before you go into the tank, if you're a punk in the free world, when you go in there, you're susceptible. So, you know what I'm saying, acting this out. You know what I'm saying? Now you got an excuse when no women around. You know what I'm talking about? But if you're a man, you a stand-up man in the free world. When you go in there, you're going to be a man too. You know what I'm talking about? So I think you get socialized out here because the hip-hop music not being promulgated in the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? So you get conditioned, put it out here. Then when you go in there, then it's kind of not. Now we put the blame on that, so when you come out, now it's okay, it's understandable. Oh, that's why you homosexual.
But you went to jail.
Yeah, well, that ain't it, you know what I'm saying? But, and then like with the sagging, I remember growing up, I used to sag. I don't take no pleasure in it, you know what I'm talking about? But I know I had hand-me-downs, you dig what I'm saying? So sometimes they wouldn't fit. And at the same time, I wasn't finna be square, you know what I'm talking about? And have my pants all up here, they tight, folded up around the waist, you know what I'm talking about? When you smile and you got on big pants and all that. So, and that was like for our whole community, but when none of us are no homo, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they start to attach certain things about ourselves and then throw it at us, just like when we would walk around barefoot, oh, you ain't got no shoes on. So now you start to be like, damn, there's something wrong with me. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what they have done and continue to do. So until we start to think with African mind, you know what I'm saying? If homosexuality is in the prison industry, how do we deal with that? You know what I'm saying? How do we prevent it before you even get up in there? You know what I'm talking about? When you just showed my princess boy, he ain't in the penitentiary. No, you know what I'm talking about? So you can't point that at the penitentiary. Right. You know what I'm saying? But we know when you go to church, you free. And every single day, I swear, I see what the next thing on the agenda is black woman being with openly gay black men. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Because you see it every day. You see these extra soft-ass dudes. And they be walking with a woman. Yeah, so it's like that's what's. I look at Obama, I look at Will Smith, I look at Kobe, I look at Jordan, I look at all these so-called celebrities who people idolize. And to me, they homosexuals. And by them being with a man, Kanye, by them being with a woman, you look at them and think they are the standard. Then the women look at these housewives, and they ain't no wives. And you look at them and you think that they, you know what I'm talking about? And then you see that they be with anybody for any means, and you think, well, if they'll do it, then I'll do it. So if they with a punk, you willing to be with a punk. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. This is just, I'm gonna get to you. And the thing is that one thing I noticed, I spent one night in jail, and it's one thing I noticed is that there's always one homosexual that they're allowed to run free. Whereas when I was in there, they woke me up at least 9 times that whole night, and they just kept us cooped up in the same situation. And he was allowed to walk around. My brothers, a lot of my brothers done prison time. They will always say it was always one homosexual, one flaming homosexual that they would allow. See, y'all make me laugh, man. Is they're allowed to have more. He would either be outside the population, connected, because they'll put their tag on you, or they will give him more freedom than the ones that's trying to stay away from it. They put us connected together, but then they will allow him to just run around and look at the bars and touch on the, all that is like, and that's done purposely. So they're making sure that those that are carrying a specific infection is allowed to do what he wants to do, but then they'll make it seem, that's why I pointed to that, because the biggest thing that wasn't put in that picture, in that slide, is that they have that one flaming homosexual that has more freedom than anybody else to do pretty much what he wants. I mean, you got them like touching guards, trying to, you know, make passes at guards, but you got the men in there that's like, look, if you come in there, even as a child molester, if you come in there as a child molester, they're ready to pound you down to death. So for it to be something that just starts within black, because that's also trying to say that it also just starts with just thug black men in prison.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they don't take into account that they make they have that one homosexual that they give more freedom than the ones that are just there for weed charges and small pints of this and small pints of that. That's a part of it that they don't put out there in the system or in the TV.
And another really important thing is that you're ignorant to a lot of things that these Jews are doing. It's a book called the Sefer Yetzirah and a book called the Zohar. Now these things, if you know about Kabbalah, it's talking about the masculine pillar and the feminine pillar. Now we don't know about true masculine energy and feminine energy. Now with the effemination of wearing these dresses, screwing these men and butts in these movies, our brothers and stuff in the movies, and just the whole effeminization with the imagery in our subconscious, Kabbalah actually explains to you your thought processes. They know what level you're on mentally. That's what we don't know. That's what the Church of Scientology all came from, and these are all African Moorish books that we need to get back into. We need to be ganged up mentally what's going on, because ultimately the mind is the battlefield. What we all talking about here is mental. It all starts in our mind, and it starts with when we don't know how to embody the masculine energy or the masculine pillar. We are gonna sway to where they're gonna sway us with the television and the imagery with our subconscious. They're gonna sway us to the feminine energy, which feminine energy, you can ask a queen, they want a man that's gonna lace me up. It's gonna be the foundation that's gonna guide me. Naturally, when you're dealing with feminine energy, you have to be guided by masculine energy. That's why they got us all the men out of the house. They're criminalizing all black life, just like after slavery. You gotta check out a documentary called, I'm not sure anybody's seen it, it's breaking down right after slavery, they outlawed all black life and they put us right back into, on the plantation. We did not get free. That's what people really don't understand. So we gotta understand why they don't have us providing, why they have us with these imageries, why they paying these brothers all this money to wear these skirts and stuff. Why they're doing this is to dictate, to put forth their agenda. Right. You know, and this goes forth to the hip. We kind of know this science, but we don't know no more. Brothers used to actually break their music in the strip clubs because you actually putting that music through their womb. You putting it through there. You break, and you putting it through the woman. You know what I'm saying? So they're actually making us embody that feminine energy, not to like that warrior energy.
Yeah, they kill it. And